Thank you guys so much for being here. BroccoliCon 2019. My name is Sunny in the City from WPGC 95.5, the Joe Clay Morning Show. And I am here with my friend and this amazing woman, Ronnessa Brown, who is a CEO of Girl CEO, entrepreneur, and mommy, what should I call you?
Superwoman.
Superwoman.
I feel like that.
Give her a round of applause, because she does everything. She's amazing. I have like 2 cats, and I gave them a haircut yesterday. That's my accomplishment. I was like, you have children? I have cats.
Don't even know how to do it all.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to be a part of BroccoliCon this year. I wanted to talk about, we're both authors.
Yes.
We are, yay. And in both of our books, we talk about a lot of our failures.
Yeah.
And I think that nowadays, living in the world of social media, we don't get to see that a lot. That's not what that's displayed. And a lot of people feel some kind of way, like, oh, you know, people on social media only post their highlights. And those people don't owe you shit. Like, they don't owe you to post their failures. You know what I'm saying? So you have to step out of that, expecting them to show you their failures so you feel better about your own. Like, they don't owe you that. They post what they want to post. Mm-hmm. So, having that internal, that confidence to step away and say, I see everyone doing great, but it's okay that I have my own failures. And I want to talk about that because you've been through a lot.
I've been through a whole lot. Yeah. And I think we all have failures. Yeah. And honestly, I think that the people that you see right now who are winning, who are thriving, who have these big brands, I don't think that it's not that they're not posting their failures. Mm-hmm. I believe that they failed so long for so many years that back then, Instagram wasn't even out when I was failing. You understand what I'm saying?
Not even Facebook.
Yeah, I was failing in 2007, in 2005, in 2006, in 2009. And people didn't get to see that, but that doesn't mean that we don't have failures. And guys, we learn through our failures. People don't understand, you learn so much crap through the stuff that just doesn't go right for you in life and in business. And that's what really got me to where I am. I was not afraid to fail. I failed forward. Failed, move forward. Failed, move forward. And you just keep going. And that's what it's about.
Yeah. I want to talk about your situation, and we'll kind of go quickly over that. Like, you were a single mom going through it. At what point, and how did you even overcome that? Like, what was the point where you were like, holy shit, this is a lot. I wonder if I can get through this.
Well, here's the thing. I think that you never have the thought that you can't get through something. Mm-hmm. You only start thinking that way when you allow the voices of other people to get in your head. So, for example, if no one ever told you that college was the only way that you can become successful, you wouldn't feel convicted, or you wouldn't feel bad, or you wouldn't feel left out if you didn't go to college.
Yeah.
But because that's the stereotype, that was the thing a few years ago, everyone felt pressured to go to college because they felt as though they accomplished something. Mm-hmm. So when you have children young, guess what everyone tells you?
You ain't gonna make it.
That's it. Yeah. Your life is over. You are done. You're going to be on welfare. You know, you'll live in the projects forever. All these things. But I had to make a decision that I'm not listening to those people. They don't define who I am. They're not going to tell me what I'm going to be. I'm going to be whatever and whoever the hell I want to be. Mm-hmm. And that was my decision, because I had my kids were watching me. My son right now is about to be 19 years old. Wow. He's watching me. Yeah. So if I would have listened to those people, I would have never kept going. I would have said, yeah, well, life is over.
Yeah. It's funny because sometimes people ask me, they say, well, how do you keep going? Like, what motivates you? And I always say, I look for the younger me. Yeah. So when I came to the United States when I was 13 years old, and I didn't speak any English, and I remember I was in class, and they put me in 7th grade. And I was looking around like, all I wanted to know was what the hell they were saying, because I was like, if they're talking about me. And once I decided that I wanted to do radio, which was 4 years after that, I was awful. Like, I had this really thick accent. I just didn't sound well. And I would make a tape every night after my internship right before I went to work at Walgreens, I would sit in a studio and read a book and record myself and teach myself how to speak properly. And I would give it to my boss, and he would be like, you sound like shit. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but like, which part didn't you like the beginning or the end? And he was like, all of it is awful. And I just kept doing that. And I have some of those tapes now, and it's terrible. They're actually cassette tapes. So I gotta figure out like how to play cassette tapes now. And yeah, I have them. Actually, I have a stack, and they're labeled by dates, and it's all 2002. And yeah, and you couldn't tell me that I wasn't gonna do it. And even now, I'm 35, and I have all these things that are happening in my life that are amazing, that I work so hard for. And I still get down on myself, and I have to step back and talk to myself as if I'm someone else and say, are you crazy? You had nothing, and you need to be that little girl because you couldn't tell her nothing. Definitely. She was just like, so which part didn't you like? Because I go back and work on that. And I did, and I drove to Lansing from Detroit every weekend for $6 an hour to do a 5-hour shift, $30 a week. And I was like, but I gotta do it because that's gonna help me in my career. And again, you have to somehow figure out inside that there's no way, because if you work that hard at something, it's gonna have to pay off. I didn't have a plan B. I was just this is what I wanna do, and I'm gonna make it happen, so.
And I would say this, you have to have plan A, B, C, D. For me, it was just kind of, I had to do a lot of different things until I found out what I want to do. You know, so I tell people all the time, don't get so focused on what you want to do initially in the beginning. Figure out what the hell you don't want to do. Yeah. Because once you figure out what you don't want to do, you're good. You know, I worked at a law firm. I've worked at a travel agency. Yeah. I've worked 100 jobs. The bank, the government. I did a lot of stuff.
I had 32 jobs in my life.
Exactly.
I made a list.
Yeah. But guess what? Guess what I figured out?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that stuff.
Exactly.
I want to own my time. I want to educate women. I want to help women build their companies. I want to help them monetize their gifts. I want to help people feel more comfortable doing exactly what they love and enjoy. If they like scooping up poop, we're going to start a poop scooping business.
Right.
It's just that simple.
But I do want you to talk about that, how you got started in the business that you're doing now, because you have Girl CEO.
Yes.
But how did you get started in the beginning?
Well, the crazy thing is, I've been doing women's events for years, and I was doing women empowerment events and brunches before it was popular, before people were, before it became trendy, okay? So we were doing stuff like this back in 2013, 2014, and it has just genuinely always been my heart. I have High Heels, High Goals, which is my nonprofit organization. So initially we were doing the events through my nonprofit organization, and I started helping so many women just with their businesses behind the scenes, and they would come to me and they would say, Ronnie, help me start my company. I'm struggling, and they didn't know how to advertise themselves on social media. Well, you know how it goes. You do that for 3, 4, 5 years for free because you just enjoy it, and then someone walks up to you and they're like, idiot, are you ever going to realize that this is your gift?
Yeah.
Start your business, do this. And I said, you know what, I'm going with Girl CEO. We got the trademark, then got the Instagram, pay attention to that, got the trademark, then got the Instagram, didn't get the Instagram, then get the trademark, all right? Pay attention, got the trademark, got the Instagram. I started giving out content, doing meetups, started doing strategy sessions with different women, really sitting down with women and helping them build their brands, their businesses, going over the analytics. If they were in e-commerce, we were just really teaching them how to link the e-commerce to their social media, and just showing them how to walk in their flow,
There's so much money to be made with social media.
It is.
And people have no idea.
And if you're not on it, you crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
I say it's the best and the worst thing that ever happened to us.
I think it's the best.
Really?
Can I just tell you, the other day, I was watching some lady on social media.
Yeah.
And this is just how nuts I am because I love social media. Yeah. And she's making millions of dollars, and she was just sitting there eating a hot dog. And she was making these sounds with her mouth like this.
Have y'all seen her eating crab legs with the dip? Where did you get crabs that big?
listen, let's just talk about the fact that at first I was like, this lady's crazy. And then 5 minutes later, I was over there like, and then I was watching another video.
Yeah.
And
but you know why?
Video.
Because there's a market for that. There's a market for everything.
I'm about to start eating my bacon quietly so everybody can hear me.
I think there is a market for that. I think, I don't know what it's called, but there's like people who enjoy watching that. It does something to them. It's like a fetishy thing.
A young lady commented on my post.
That's the sound.
A young lady commented on my post today, and I put up a tweet, and it said, so many people are trying to sell a product, but they don't even try to sell themselves first. And I said, people buy people, and then they buy products, right? And then this girl commented, and she's like, well, what if you're not likable? And then I said, no, honey, there's a tribe for everybody. And now you have social media. If you're a butthole, there's a butthole tribe that loves you.
Yes.
There's no way that you can fail.
Yeah.
And that's the power of social media.
It is. And, you know, I remember my boss a long time ago told me this. I was like dating this guy, and he was awful. And I found out I was like
let her tell it. Every guy's awful, by the way.
No. I'm not an ice queen. So long story short, I found out he was like cheating on me with this woman, and she sends me this email about like, you know, him and her, but it's addressed to another woman, which means there was 3 of us at least.
Oh. He was good.
Oh, yeah. And I remember sitting there. I'm young, and I'm sitting at the radio station. I'm like freaking out, and my boss is like, "Listen, don't reply to her. Dead it. Like, she can find you because she can figure out who you are. You don't know what she looks like. She gonna come and jump you. You and her friends at the club." And he was like, "Don't do it." And then he like, and this was a man, and he was in his 50s, and he started talking about the importance of like not being messy, and this was before social media too. And then he went on into this whole thing about having women on your side. And he was like, whatever you end up doing, or however you flip this, and wherever you end up, if you end up doing television, if you end up doing radio and somewhere else, he was like, you have to become the person that women want to hang out with. Yeah. They want to see you as their best friend. You have to be likable, but not fake. He was like, just figure out a way to make sure that you cater to women at all times. He was like, men will always follow.
Of course.
Get queued up, men are always there. He was like, don't worry about them. Make sure that whatever you do, make sure you help women, make sure you cater to women, make sure you uplift women, and then you'll always be successful. Do you believe that?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the Girl CEO brand is about. We equip women to be the CEOs of their businesses, their lives, and homes, and we do that through transparency, content, community, meetup. I mean, I sit on the phone with some of my girl CEOs for hours, and if I see them slipping, I call them up. And if they see me slipping, they call me up. Yeah. And if they feel like they're the only person going through something in that moment in their lives, I remind them that, no, sis, I've been there too. Yeah. Don't feel like shit. You're not alone.
But you have this gift, though. Like, I don't think I can do what you do. Because I mean, you know what I mean. I do this, and I'm, you know, but like you're always on, 24 hours.
Because it's my hobby.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like the Diddy.
You are.
Like the female Diddy.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like the female Diddy a little bit because I'm not even doing it.
And I'm like, I need a nap. You know, during the day, I'm like, don't call me. I need my nap. And you're always checking, you're doing things.
I feel like that I'm like that because I'm walking in purpose. Because let me just tell you something. When I was working a 9 to 5, I was not like that. Yeah. I couldn't even get up. I got fired from all those jobs. Probably about 99.9% of them fired me because I couldn't get to work on time. Yeah. Because I didn't want to go.
And now you're always on time.
And now I'm up at 7, 6, 5. Like, I can't wait. I'm like, oh, I got to do another podcast, you know? Yeah. Oh, I got to plan this meetup. Oh, what is the next T-shirt going to say? Like, I'm pumped. Yeah.
Your podcast is top 200 on Apple. You know that's huge, right? Because they have like 1 million of them.
I didn't even know.
There's like millions of podcasts.
Let me just tell you the crazy thing. I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast. I asked my friend, I'm like, how do I do a podcast? She's like, I'm like, okay, let's do a podcast. Yeah. My podcast was literally like replays from my live on Instagram, 24 hours. 48 hours, I passed Joe Osteen. I'm like, Joe? I passed Joe?
Well, he locked people out of the church, so I think it's way back a while ago. But that's amazing.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited because if I could tell you the truth, I know absolutely nothing about podcasting and benefits. My friend, she's like, do you make money podcasting? I'm like, I don't think so. I think all my people can go here. And now I'm learning that there's like a whole nother world. Mm-hmm. It's like a radio thing, you know?
It is. I want you to give us some inspiration for women who are, looking at you and they say, listen, I hate this 9 to 5. I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. What are some of the next steps that they should look into? What should they do?
So I think that we have to search within ourselves and figure out what it is that we actually enjoy. When you're in this season of finding out what you're supposed to be doing and who you are, I think it's even more important that you stop looking online, that you take a little moment to really identify what's driving you, what's pushing you, what do you enjoy. Don't do things for the money. That's the most important thing, because right now everyone's living this lavish lifestyle and you see people standing in front of cars and homes and things like that. But do they look happy? Are they fulfilled? Are they serving a purpose? Are they helping people? So we need to make sure that before we jump into launching this business, that we really make sure that we know where our heart is and what God has told us to do. Is this your assignment? And let me just stress, right now I see so many people like trashing 9 to 5s in corporate America. I think it's the dumbest thing that I've ever seen. Because I used to work a 9 to 5 and I used to work in corporate America, and I learned so much. Right now, we have to get into the season of valuing wisdom and experience. You can't jump off the porch and be a CEO. Yeah. You have to work under someone before someone can work under you. So we have to value internships, unpaid internships. I know a lot of y'all don't even know what that is, because now people work for you 3 months.
They don't do it anymore. We don't even offer internships anymore.
Yeah,
radio.
It's just crazy. Get the internships, get the experience, and then step into your purpose. And before you put a price tag on your service, make sure that you have the credibility. Make sure you have the resources. Make sure you have the receipts. Help a few people. Get a few testimonials. Get that credit. I want us to focus more on the credibility than anything. Yeah. Because some people are like, how do I get my followers up? How do I get more people to like my pictures? It's like, if you start really helping people, and it's gonna come. Yeah. Word of mouth is the best advertisement. Someone asked me recently, like, well, how do you get out there? I'm like, if you start making a difference, people are going to start talking about you. They're going to refer you to, oh, this person helped me. Oh, she was good. Go check her out. Social media will work for you. Look at Jay-Z. When he was going through whatever he was going through his relationship, I watched this interview, and they were like, well, how does Jay-Z find a shrink? Word of mouth. Yeah. Word of mouth. One of my friends was going to this counselor, and he told me he was good. Word of mouth. Yeah. So that's my suggestion to everyone that's listening. Don't rush it. Serve more. Get the credibility. Find out what you will do for no money, because that's what you really need to stick to. If that makes you feel fulfilled, make sure that whatever you're doing is not all about you. It has to make a difference in other people's lives. Your name is going to ring after that.
Yeah. And I think, you see so many successful people that go through things, and we see it in the news, and someone unfortunately will commit a suicide, or something will happen in their life, and I'll hear people say, well, they have all this money, what are they unhappy about? And I was like, I don't think.
Do they have the friends?
Yes.
No, do they have real friends?
Right. And again, it goes back to being in that state of serving your purpose. Yeah. When you're just happy and you're like, listen, I'm just going with this, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and money will come. And it does. And I tell my mentees all the time, because now they're like, I want to be on air and I want to do this. And I was like, girl,
are you ready?
17 years in.
Are you ready?
Right. I was like, you have no idea what it took to get to a certain point. But once you got to a certain point, everything starts rolling. It's like a domino effect. I don't have to figure out who to reach out at Fox 5 because I want to go promote my book. They're in my inbox, like, we would love for you to come right after your show, come on our show and sit in and be here for 30 minutes. And I was like, I could never get these fucking people to reply to my email back in the day. And now they're, Channel 7, and was like, we want you to come on, we want you to talk about it. And I was like, I literally sat there one time and I cried. I was like, these people would not reply to my emails.
And
but after a while, once you establish and you work hard and you just let your work speak for you, they invite you to sit at those tables and they invite you to come and speak about the things that you're doing.
And I think that's because initially when you're starting out, you're like, hey, see me. I'm here.
Yeah.
You guys see me? You see me?
Yeah.
You see me? Somebody pay attention to me. Like, notice me.
Yeah.
See, look, I'm doing this. And then you get to work. Mm-hmm. And when I got to work, and I started saying, let me focus on this person's company, that person's company, working with this woman who has it going on, and let me show her how to really get in a space where she owns this brand, where she has her company, where she's making income every day, where the passive income is coming in. I'm so busy, and then I help her, and then I help her, and then I help her, mm-hmm. and then this person gets an article, and this person blows up, and then the next thing she has 200,000 followers, and then she tells someone, yeah, Ronnie helped me set up my company the right way, because legally I didn't even have it set up the right way. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing you know, people are like, oh yeah, her, but I don't even see them because my head is down.
Yeah.
You got to get your head down.
Yeah.
You got to get to work. You can't do it to be seen. When you're trying to be seen, no one's going to see you.
No one's going to see you. And doing it lately, I've been seeing a lot of, and I think it's so amazing. So many women are, I don't want to say it's a trend, but women are just collaborating.
Yeah.
Women are getting together, and it's cool and it's dope to have women empowerment and encouragement and sisterhood. And I think I love that because I feel like it hasn't always been like that.
Well, I think that women are standing the hell up.
Yeah.
And they're getting tired of codependency. Mm-hmm. We used to stick around for a lot of stuff because financially we couldn't pick up and leave.
Yeah.
So we stayed around. We dealt with a lot of stuff. Your grandmom, she doesn't even sleep in the room with your grandpa anymore because she completely hates his guts because he cheated on her 30 years ago. Yeah. And the only reason why she stayed is because he paid that daggone mortgage. And she would knock him upside his head and call him 100 names every time she saw him. And you would think that your grandma was evil. But the whole time, you don't know the stuff that your grandpa had took your grandma through. So right now, we are in a place where women are no longer codependent upon a man based on the financial status. So we're like, come on, girl, let's link up. Let's do this. We are now taking the finances into our own hands. We can make our own money. You guys probably heard my Shopify over there dinging a few minutes ago. Like, the income is coming in and it's different. So now we're not settling. We're teaming up with other strong women. We're sharing the resources, and we're the CEOs. Yeah. We're staying up late at night. We're stressed out, We're going home. He's there. We're like, you didn't clean up? Like, that dinner's not going to cook itself. Yeah. Times are just changing.
Yeah. Well, there's this, we talked about it on air, there's this new fake boob thing that men wear, and they breastfeed the kid. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Right. So it's women, they'll pump, and then they give the thing to their husband, and he has a man boob. He puts it in there, and he breastfeeds the kid. I was like, this is the greatest shit I ever seen.
Now,
tell my husband, put your boob on and go in the kitchen and feed the baby.
That's too much for me. We both got to work hard.
Well, go feed the baby. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, it's so important. I just remember for me, when I was up and coming, I used to date these men, and I talk about this story all the time. And they had more than me. And not to say that it was a thing, but for me, I wanted more for myself. So I used to always say, when we walk in a room together, they're like, oh, that's such and such, and some girl on his arm. And I always felt like I never wanted to be that girl.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta figure out a way to become someone or something great, so that way when we walk in a room together, they're like, oh, that's them. You know what I'm saying? And that was always in the back of my head. And I was like, that kind of kept me, going, because I was like, I don't ever want to be some girl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I raise my daughters. I tell my girls all the time. My daughter is 16 years old, and oh my goodness, it's just like she's so gorgeous overnight. And her little body is filling out, and I'm kind of looking at her. She's wearing my jeans and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, you know? But I always tell her, focus on being somebody, not somebody's. Right?
Yeah.
And I believe that years ago, women, their focus was always so much around, are you married? You know, do you have a man? It was just kind of like that thing where, you ever meet married women when you weren't married? And it was just kind of like, you know, and it was kind of
like an exclusive club.
It's like an exclusive club,
that
right?
You feel left out of. Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like so much of women's came from being with someone else. And what I'm really teaching my daughters is that their needs to come from the level of intelligence that they have, the confidence that they have, and to work hard for their own income. So at that point, all a man can really offer you is loyalty after that, you know? So don't get in that space where you're torn apart, because if I could be honest with you, I spent years at work crying over boyfriends. I would be at my desk, I will never forget this, at my desk in tears. And they would say, Ronnie, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And I would say, I had death in my family. Oh my God. And the entire time he was cheating on me, and I found out at work. And then I would get to work the next day, and there would be like sympathy cards on my desk. And I would say, Lord, please forgive me. I got to get out this relationship.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So, you know.
I say, you know, for me, it's so crazy because my parents, when I call them, I have to lead with, let me tell you all the great things happening in my life. Because the first thing they'll say, so what's going on? Where's the man? Every time I talk to them. And I was like, you know what? This is why I live in Washington and you guys live in Detroit. Like, I like us a few states apart.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I just was like, once they come, they'll just be this great addition to the life that I have already created.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, there will be a great addition, but they'll never be a full thing. And I think it was just, over time, I had to learn that and to just really work hard for myself and just for my purpose, again, going back to that. Yeah.
The purpose. The purpose is the most important thing. And when you start working on your purpose and you're in your lane, you won't even feel like you're working. We're working right now.
We are.
This is like the best girl talk I've had in a long time.
Are we getting a check for this? I'm just saying. You know, they wrote down stuff for us we have to cover, but I was like, oh, I know her. So we're just going to chat it up. Well, they said tools to tap into a successful mindset with an uncertain future. And I think a lot of people deal with that, just not knowing what's coming up and how do you kind of tap into that.
Well, I think personal development has been one of the most valuable things that I've invested in over the years. You kind of think that your Meek meals can kind of get you going and solve every problem in the morning if you're feeling like crap. But literally meditating, praying, getting in that quiet space. You know, I think I've learned, you know, when you're younger and you go to your grandparents' house, they're like, shut the noise up. And you're like, oh my God, they're so freaking boring. What's wrong with them? And it's like, now I'm them because I need that silence. Yeah. You don't understand the power of just sitting in silence. So I think personal development, making sure that I'm being very cautious of what I'm listening to. And I've realized that getting up early, creating that discipline, investing in coaching and seminars, and just getting around people that are where I want to be. Yeah. That has been a game changer.
But don't you know, I've seen a lot of people, they want to do all these things, but they never attend a seminar. They never attend a workshop. They never, you know, do their research. You kind of glance at things that other people are doing and you kind of want to be there, but never really invest into all the things that it's going to take for you to get there. Because I always talk about there are steps to everything. And I remember I used to I wrote down all these steps and I was like, I want to be on the radio. And I told you, the guy said, you're awful. And I was like, okay, well, what do I have to do? And then he said, well, you got to work on your voice. And then you have to go to a small market. And I went to DC's market 8 in the country. I was working at market 159. And nobody was fucking listening to that station. It was by Michigan State, but the campus couldn't get it. So I was like, well, who the hell lives up here? It's a college town, and they couldn't even hear it. But it was like steps I wrote down, and I was like, okay, if I have to get to B, then I have to finish A first.
Yeah.
And I think people have to really invest in themselves and all the things that it takes for them to move forward.
Well, right now, we're in a day and age where people think that DMing everyone that has 100,000 followers or more, a millionaire in their bio, and getting free information from them is going to take them to the next level. I'm like, public service announcement. Free information isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in tools. You have to invest in strategy. And if you think that those people who are running these big Fortune 500 companies or six-figure companies or seven-figure companies are going to pause their business to go look at your Instagram page to see what you're doing wrong, because I get those messages all the time.
Yeah.
I probably have like 400 of them, and I try to respond to every DM, but people are like, Ronnie, can you go check out my website and let me know what you think I should change? Guys.
No. It's a lot.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's not just that easy. So we really we have to invest in ourselves.
Yeah. We can be here all day.
We definitely could.
But we want to open up for some questions if you guys have it. We have like 10 minutes to go with some questions. Oh, we can hear you.
So my question, I guess
I don't think the mic is on. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess both of you guys can answer this question. What would you tell someone who's experienced multiple jobs, but they're still having a hard time trying to find their passion, what it is that they love to do?
I'll let you go first.
You know, it's hard because I'm a big believer in like spirituality and faith. Like it's gonna come eventually because you're searching for it, but you can't search to a point where you're exhausting yourself and you're making yourself feel bad that it's not coming fast enough. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, it was a point where I didn't know if I wanted to do radio anymore. And I was like, maybe I should do something else because it just wasn't working out for me the way I thought it should. And I was doing all these things, and I was like taking random classes, and like I was exhausting myself and trying to figure out what my passion was, when eventually all phased out and I ended up back in radio, and I was like more in love with it than ever. And I was like, it was there all along because I stopped searching and I just kind of focused on myself, like we talked about earlier, taking care of yourself. And for me, thankfully, it worked out.
So what I will say is that is something that will happen over time, just like she said. And I think that the anxiousness is a distraction. I think that if we just get into servantship, I am a big believer of servantship. You may not know what your purpose is, but align yourself with a brand or a person or a vision that is kind of in that same vibration, that you feel like, okay, this is what I stand for as well. Let me get here. Everyone is not supposed to be an entrepreneur. There is this thing right now where people are being made, they're starting to feel like shit because they're not an entrepreneur. And I think it's the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
Because if everybody's an entrepreneur, who else is going to work?
Yeah, if everybody's the boss, we're the workers. You understand what I'm saying? If everyone is a chief, then where are the Indians? I think that we have to be okay saying, just because I'm working in corporate America, your gift may be in corporate America. God does not say that your impact on other people's lives is based on the industry. Your gift is, your mission is to touch a soul. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to touch a soul, to make a difference, to impact someone's life. You can do that at your job, drinking coffee in the break room. You can do that at work, in the bathroom, going to grab a maxi pad for 25 cents out the vending machine, and there's someone there crying. We can make a difference wherever we go. Everything is not about a brand. My brand is. Yeah. People walk up to me, they're like, hi, my brand is. I'm like, oh my God. You know, it's just, It's too much. So,
and you have to find joy.
Yeah.
In whatever you do, you have to find some kind of joy, because you have people who have incredible jobs by other people's standards, and they're miserable and they hate it. And I
think this is a fear. This is a fear for me too. I'm gonna be honest with you, not for me, but when you have a company and you are employing people and social media is saying everybody's a boss, what's gonna happen to the people that are coming and working for your company? They're not even gonna come with a vision to make the impact that your company is supposed to make, because they're so busy worried about themselves.
Making their brand outside your brand. Yeah. Yes.
So at one point during you all's discussion, you mentioned the importance of meditation and prayer. A lot of people don't really understand the importance in that and how they really coincide with one another. How like when you meditate, it's basically preparation for prayer. So can you dive a little deeper into that for people who may not even really meditate on a daily basis, and just talk about the importance on that?
Sure. So can I tell you all something? About 3 years ago, I had got so tied up in my business. And I mean, when I'm on 10, I'm on 10. But I went into overdrive, right? I had a goal. I had made my first $1 million. And I was like, okay. And I'm talking about outside. You know, I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I was in overdrive. I mean, I was staying up to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. It was like nonstop. Like I hadn't taken the time to rest. Everything that mattered to me was about like my business. And the bad thing is like sometimes your business is your hobby. So I started to read this book, and someone suggested it to me like, Ronnie, you need to chill out. So I had to start getting in my word, right? And then they were like, read this book. The book was called Miracle Morning. The Miracle Morning. The Miracle Morning. You guys write this down. The Miracle Morning. I hated getting up early. I told you all, that's why I got fired from almost all my jobs. So the book talked about meditation. It talked about setting the heat in your room to turn on at 6 o'clock to go to 80 degrees, because it'll make it more comfortable for you to get out of the bed. Then it talked about creating your quiet space, meditating, thinking positive thoughts, just saying things over and over, affirmations, reading whatever it is that you're going to read, and then speaking the positive things over your life. I started doing that stuff. Baby, I went Martha Stewart on them. Do you hear me? I was up at 6 a.m. jogging around my neighborhood. This black girl has never jogged, okay? I done ran because people were shooting in the neighborhood before, but I've never jogged, okay? So I was jogging, I was meditating, like it was just a different thing. I started making more money, but I was doing less work. Making more money, but doing less work. My mind was just in a different space. And the personal development, the prayer, then they had this thing when they were like, talk to yourself in the shower. I'm in the shower like, I am great. I am amazing. Opportunities are looking for me. People are finding me. This year I will make over $1 million. And it works. Yeah. It really works, because whatever you say to yourself becomes your reality.
I'm a big believer in that. I'm very spiritual, and I pray in detail. Like specifics, like I put dates. You know, I want to
make a request.
Yeah, like it's like a request. Like, listen, God, let's have this chat real quick. So I need him to be like this tall, and he needs to be like. I'm very specific.
I'm done with that.
No, but I never used to do that. Like I was just, you know, and to me, like I don't start my day without doing my prayers, and I really things that. I want to do or I want to happen to me, I don't say if anymore, I say when. So when I do this, or when, and once you start speaking things, it's just, you know how people tell you stuff over and over, like, you know, if you start saying it and people are like, no, it doesn't happen. It really fucking does. Like when you start saying things and really, something happens to where you start believing it, and then like the universe starts to believe it, and it starts shifting. It's unexplainable, but I think it's so important to really start every day, just even if you gotta write it down, specifics. I'm like Sierra's prayer. Write down the specifics, and you'll get a Russell Wilson, maybe. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ronnie. We got to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much. Oh, one more? Oh.
Okay. My question is just mostly about, like, I'm a sophomore at Howard, so, like, I'm kind of younger than, like, everybody else.
Youngin'.
But it's like, how do you, like, gain experience when you don't really have, like, the money or resources to invest, like, in yourself right now? So, like, I'm only 19, don't have a job, don't really have a lot of, like, access money. So I'm, like, trying to learn about stuff that I care about, but don't really have the money to invest in that. So, like, what do you go?
Serve. That's it. Yeah. You can get free experience serving other people.
But there's so many things. Like she said, you could have been a volunteer here, and then you meet so many people. And even you being here, you're meeting a lot of people today, and you just never know what can happen. And I think just stepping out there and getting involved, and again, investing in yourself and going to seminars and workshops and meeting people, and not just DMing them and say, hey, I want to do this. Can I email you? You know, people will do that. They'll be like, we've never met, nothing. You write me a paragraph, and like, what am I supposed to do? Like, sit here and go when you're like, you know what I'm saying? It's so impersonal. And I think when you go to different seminars and things like that, you get inspired. Like, you just don't know. You can spark something in you. You're like, holy shit, you know what? I'm going to start a Broccoli City Festival one day. You just don't know.
And open up. Mm-hmm. Open up and don't be so afraid, you know? If you want to get out there, your spirit has to get out there. So all the things that you're afraid of, challenge yourself to do those things. I used to have this fear of failure, right? So I used to do everything to make sure I didn't fail, right? So you just have to put yourself out there. I would challenge myself. I have no college degree, by the way. And I used to go to big corporate events. And my friends used to laugh at me like, girl, you're kidding me, right? And I would go and put myself in these places. And then the next thing I know, I was getting invited to meetings at this place and, you know, different types of events. And it's just that belief, that faith, and that confidence. So just put yourself out there, loosen up, have a good time, walk up to random people and meet some people.
And you live in Washington, D.C. It's a million things happening here every day, every weekend. You can just go to places. A lot of things are free. Like, you can get so much if you just step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, and there's a tribe for everybody.
Yeah.
You have a tribe right now. I created a brand for a young lady. It was called Success as an Introvert. I see that in you right now.
So now you got to check that out.
Yeah.
All right, we're done. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you so much, Ronnie.
Thank you.
This is fun. You know, we got to do like a little bow.
I have you on the podcast.
My mic dropped. Are we doing a little bow? Thank you, guys.